Godzilla x Kong, Guardians of Equestria, written by Phantom Plus 1234. Chapter 10, versus Hedorah. After having defeated the two Fate Mudos created by Hypermecha Hedorah, Godzilla and company had made their way to the Equestria forest where a second Titan was rumored to have appeared. Upon arrival they had found the forest to be littered with trash and obscured by a dense smog. They had found the rose beast Bylond who attacked them on sight. However, after the group realized that Bylond was weakening due to the lack of fresh air, the smog monster Hedorah revealed itself to be the true culprit behind the toxic air production. Godzilla growled as Hedorah slowly made its way towards them, leaving a trail of withering dead plants in its wake. So that's the monster behind the leader in the forest, eh? Capra asked as Aileen pulled up Hedorah's data on her phone. That has got to be one of the most rancid thing I've ever seen in my life, said Rarity. Twilight and Starlight looks up at Bylond as she lets out a weakened groan. It was becoming clear that Bylond was suffering due to this toxic monster. Oh poor thing, Fluttershy sighed as SH tried to comfort the rose monster. It's not just Bylond who's suffering, said Aileen. Twilight and her friends turned around to see Starswirl and Miss Min coughing violently. We need to get rid of Hedorah or else nothing will get out of this forest alive. Then let's send that creep back where it came from, said Rainbow Dash. She flew up to join Godzilla and Kong along with Fluttershy, Twilight, Spike, Celestia, Luna, Flash Madness, and Somnambula. Hedorah let out a disgusting gurgled roar as it continues to approach Bylond. Alright trash heap, you're about to get a face full of my hooves, Rainbow Dash boasted as she began circling Hedorah, causing it to stop and look around as if confused. Once she had it distracted, she threw herself at Hedorah and attempted to kick it down, only to end up splotting face first into Hedorah's grimy body. She pulled herself away completely covered in sludge. Ooh. As she tried to clean herself off, Hedorah swatted her with its slimy hand, sending her crashing into the ground in a pile of sludge. Well, that didn't work out the way we hoped it would, said Applejack. Kong roars as he charges and throws a punch at Hedorah, only for his fist to go through its body. Hedorah emits a high-pitched sound almost as if it was laughing at Kong's miserable attempt. Kong pulls his fist out to find it covered in black sludge. He sniffs and yelps almost as if he was disgusted by this stench. As Kong tries to clean his hand, Hedorah produces a gurgling sound before hurling a ball of black sludge at him. Thankfully, Kong's reflexes kick in and he quickly rolls to the side as the ball of sludge lands in some trees, causing it to dissolve into a pool of bubbling toxic slime. That thing spits out acid. Twilight gasps. Calm down, Twilight, I'm sure we'll be fine as long as we avoid it, Luna said nervously. After seeing how Kong failed to damage Hedorah, Godzilla opened his jaws. His body began to glow. All the while Hedorah continued to slowly make its way towards them. Bylond whimpers as her leaves began to wither. Oh, it's okay, everything's going to be alright, Fluttershy cooed, trying to comfort Bylond. She looked up as Godzilla let loose a stream of his atomic breath at Hedorah, triggering an explosion. Fare thee well, foul beast, chirped Luna. Luna, Celestia pointed forward to reveal that Hedorah had somehow survived the attack with no scratches or bruises. It didn't do anything, Fluttershy whimpered. Hedorah laughed as it began waving its arms in a flowing motion as if it was taunting them. Ah, what such condescending attitude, scoffed Luna. Kong roared as he swung at Hedorah with his axe, but to no avail. Once again Hedorah laughed at their futile efforts. You know, of all the monsters we've seen, this one has to be the most annoying, grunted Rainbow Dash. But this is bad. If we can't damage it, how are we supposed to get rid of it? Asked Fluttershy. Godzilla attempted to fire another blast of his atomic breath, but Hedorah simply took the hits and continued approaching the group. Nothing's working, said Bernie. But there has to be something we can do, right? Asked Trixie. They watched as Kong grabbed Hedorah from behind in attempts to slow it down, but Hedorah simply sprayed him in the face with its toxic fumes, causing Kong to reel back and gag from the horrible smell. As Hedorah continued to close distance, it suddenly turned its attention towards Godzilla and fired a crimson beam from its eyes, striking Godzilla in the chest and setting his flesh on fire. Godzilla let out a cry of agony and stumbled back from the attack. Oh no, this isn't good, said Trapper. But Hedorah wasn't done. Once it was close enough, it spewed out several chunks of black sludge at Godzilla, which not only severely burned him but also decreased his mobility, making it extremely difficult for him to move. As Godzilla struggled to escape, Hedorah simply laughed as it watched him suffer. No, this is bad. We have to do something, said Starlight. But what can do? Asked Applejack. Hedorah finally reached Bylond towering over the wounded Godzilla and began charging up another blast. Just when the group thought it was over, a large object suddenly came flying out of nowhere and slammed into Hedorah, knocking it back away from Godzilla. What was that? Asked Sunburst. They looked up as the object landed next to Godzilla and unkilled, revealing Angus standing next to his ally. Angus. Eileen gasped as the Titan roared at Hedorah. Another cry rang out as Redon descended from the sky, hovering above the ground next to Anguirus. "Redon too?" asked Trapper. "It'd be a shame if you forgot about me," a voice added. The group looked up as a pony jumped off of Redon's back. The pony had a purple-colored coat and a magenta mane. She had a scar over her right eye and her unicorn horn was completely broken. "Tempest." Twilight flew down to her with a smile of relief. "Twilight, it's good to see you again," she said, walking over to her. "What are you doing here and how'd you find us?" asked Twilight. "Well, it's a bit of a long story, but I don't think now's the time for that," said Tempest. Twilight looked up as Hedorah got to its feet and hissed at the two as they protected Godzilla. "Wait, wasn't Angus infected with something?" asked Bernie. "It was, but I'm not getting any abnormal ratings. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but it looks like he's back to his normal self," said Trapper. "Heck yeah, let's go, Turtle Boy." Pinky cheered. "Well, actually it's more like an armadillo," chuckled Trapper. "About time we got some backup," said Flash Magnus. "You can count on me to take out the trash," Tempest said as got into battle stance. Hedorah roared as it angrily hurled a chunk of black sludge at them, but Redon fired a blast of condensed air sending the sludge flying back at Hedorah. With the smug monster completely distracted, Redon grabbed Angus by the tail and lifted him up before dropping him right on top of Hedorah, flattening it. It quickly rolled out of the way as Redon fired a blast of radioactive flame and setting its right arm on fire. As Hedorah desperately tried to put out the flames, Tempest used her magic to coat Angus's shell with electricity as he curled up and rolled towards the Titan at full speed. With the fire out, Hedorah turned its attention towards Redon, but before it could make a move, it was struck in the back by Angus's shell. Hedorah yelped as it was zapped, leaving it temporarily stunned. "HNPH easiest pie," Tempest snickered. "Wow, Tempest, you've grown since the last time we met," said Capper. "I appreciate the compliment, but we're not done yet," said Tempest. "It's time to send this trash heap back to the garbage dump where it belongs." Tempest begins to charge up her next attack while Redon grabs Hedorah and lifts it in the air before dropping it. Right before Hedorah hit the ground, Angus turns around and slams his shell into the smog monster, not only shocking it but also sent it flying towards Tempest, who then uses her opportunity to fire a blast of electricity from her horn, electrocuting Hedorah as it squeals in pain. The group watches as Hedorah begins to dry up. "Oh yeah, that was awesome." Rainbow Dash cheered. "We really couldn't have done it without you, thank you, Tempest," said Twilight. "I'm glad I could be of use," said Tempest. Suddenly, the dried-up remains of Hedorah begins to glow before disintegrating like past enemies. "Looks like that's another Titan down," said Eileen. Once Hedorah was gone, Biolot's vines and leaves returned to normal. "Biolot's back to her normal self too," said Trapper. "Yeah, but Godzilla took a serious beating from the fight," said Bernie. "Why don't we take a break, give Godzilla time to recover?" suggested Eileen. "We still have to thank and introduce ourselves to our friend here." Tempest smiled as she and the Monarch Task Force introduced themselves. "It's a pleasure meeting you here," said Tempest. "By the way, Tempest, don't you owe us an explanation?" asked Twilight. "Right, I guess I should start from the beginning," said Tempest. Everyone gathered around Tempest as she began telling her side of the story. "I'm honestly not sure what's happening right now, but I was in Candlelit investigating the source of the shockwaves when I found a secret passage hidden underneath a pile of rubble. I entered and found the remains of a strange facility I've never seen before." "A strange facility?" Twilight repeated. "Even though I found what I believe is to be the source, my curiosity got the better of me. I wanted to learn more about what the place was and went in deeper. There I found something that made my blood boil." "Was it the cells holding Chrysalis, Taurik, Koziglo, and King Sambura?" asked Starlight. "No," answered Tempest. "I did see 4 cells, but they were empty. However, I believe what I found is much more concerning." Everyone looked at each other with worried expressions. "What do you mean?" asked Sunburst. "Twilight, you and your friends remember what happened to the Storm King after I sacrificed myself for you, right?" asked Tempest. "Well, yeah," answered Twilight. "Well, I found the remains of his statue in one of the labs," explained Tempest. "What?" Twilight gasped. "You can't be serious. Tobias is the Storm King's statue?" asked Rainbow Dash. "I have a bad feeling about this. I don't know what Tobias was planning on doing with the Storm King, but it couldn't have been good," said Twilight. "Is there anything else we should know?" "Well, I got out of there as fast as I can cause I felt it'd be important to inform you about this, but when I made it out, those two were going at each other," she said, pointing towards Anguirus and Redon. I didn't want to take any chances getting caught in the middle two giant animals fighting, so I tried to make a run for it, but the armadillo noticed me and came after me without hesitation. I had no choice but to defend myself and electrocuted him. "Is that dangerous?" asked Twilight. Tempest nodded and continued. I could have sworn that by shocking him, he was going to get even more aggressive, but surprisingly after shocking him, he became extremely docile and calmed down. "Wait, Mr. Angus calmed down after you shocked him?" asked Fluttershy. Tempest nodded as Twilight and her friends looked at Eileen. I can't say for sure that I have any idea what's going on, but if Tempest's story is true, then Tobias definitely needs to be stopped ASAP, said Eileen. Everyone nodded in agreement as Eileen pulled out her phone. It doesn't look like any more Titan readings has been picked up. Why don't we take a little break? I'm sure both Godzilla and Kong are beat after the constant fights. In the meantime, let's catch each other up. I'm sure Tempest wants to know what's currently going on, and we need more info on the Storm King if we're going to stop Tobias. And so everyone nods their heads as they gather around Bylon's base to discuss future plans. If you guys are enjoying this story, please give it a like, comment your thoughts, give me a follow and share this story with your friends, and I hope you all enjoy.